He stopped his vehicle and looked in the direction of a natural hot spring. The scenery here was good, but it was somewhat barren, with not a single person around. However, Subai did not care. He was here for the volcanic rocks, which were either under or near the hot springs. Volcanic stones were black and had a high temperature, but they did not have much use. The rocks could at most serve as nests for fire pets, so no one would bother coming here for those. Still, to this particular youth, volcanic rocks were rather valuable, for they contained a large number of earth and fire attribute light balls, which he could feed the purgatory tyrant's egg with. He planned to dig 2 big bags and then head home. Other than the volcanic stones, he wanted to find the legendary mass grave and see if there were any undead monsters or bones that had been nourished and psyched by aura, so he could use their attribute light balls to feed the egg with. Howl. The cub jumped down and walked in front, looking around curiously. Buzz. After walking for a while, a giant blood-bursting mosquito swooped down from a tree, its large proboscis piercing Subai's white neck. F***CK. Buddy, wrap it with your vine whip. The boy jumped back in shock. He might die if his blood was sucked dry by this mosquito. Howl. A vine whip rushed forth and entangled the blood-bursting mosquito when Subai was speaking. Before its owner even spoke, the cub had already reacted. Buzz. The entangled blood-bursting mosquito struggled violently, like a floating kite being blown against the strong wind, but there was no way it could break free, for this insect was still only a mid-level slave. F***CK, buddy. Break its wings and mouth. How dared it suck my blood, shouted Subai, almost scared to death. A few pops were heard as the cub fired several energy bullets in succession, directly cutting off all the wings and proboscis of the mosquito. As soon as its wings and proboscis broke, the insect basically became useless. Relieved, Subai originally wanted to torture it further but decided to end its life, instead, and dig out its crystal nucleus. Let's keep going. He picked up the crystal nucleus. Why are there so many blood-bursting mosquitoes on this road? Subai looked down at another crystal nucleus in his hand, having encountered the third mosquito already. Shaking his head, he put down his backpack and finally spotted the small hot spring not far ahead. Although no water could be seen on the ground, it was indeed still a hot spring outlet. Buddy, it's up to you now, help me dig it. He glanced at his pet. Howl. The cub nodded, jumped to a stone beside its owner, and spurred its spiritual power to form a vine whip with the thickness of a heat-preserving kettle. As the vine whip grew, it also entered the hot spring outlet. With a few bangs, the rubber splattered. As it burrowed deeper and deeper into the ground, the temperature increased further. When it was 5 meters deep, some volcanic stones with small holes appeared. It's that kind of stone. Collect more, buddy. This was Subai's first time seeing the rich red and yellow light balls of a volcanic stone. It was really great. Howl. The cub mobilized its vine whip to dig out the volcanic stones found and piled them in front of the boy. Half an hour later, the cub had dug out more than 300 volcanic rocks. Subai took out the purgatory tyrant's egg and merged the light balls into it. After using 100 light balls, the egg temporarily reached saturation point. Okay, another 50 stones will do, he said. Howl. After digging stones, the cub fell onto Subai's body. It was exhausted, with almost all of its spiritual power having been exhausted. It had used the vine whip skill for an hour and had created super thick vine whips, which were particularly energy-consuming. Come here, let me feed you, buddy. The youth took out an energy medicinal cake and picked up his pet to feed it. Howl. Purple Jade opened its mouth and ate the energy medicinal cake happily. Strong spiritual power exploded within it, and the cub then showed signs of breaking through. Howl. Sigh. It looked at its owner, asking for more spiritual power. Subai naturally knew this and was prepared. He took out a bottle of number 1 purple jade potion to feed it. After taking the potion, the cub's spiritual power became stronger until this slowly compressed inwardly, retracting into its body. It had advanced to a high-level servant. Howl. Jumping up happily, the cub spun around as it felt stronger. Its many days of hard work had not been in vain. Haha. You're awesome. Subai happily picked his pet up and spun it around. Now that it was a high-level servant pet, He did not need to worry about its evolution in the meantime. Within a month, the cub had reached and become a high-level servant. Although it was not the fastest, it was still top-notch. Both of their efforts mattered equally. Howl. The duo was playing happily when the cub suddenly jumped onto the rock and yelped in the direction that they had come from. Subai immediately understood his meaning. The cub had sensed with its vegetation sensing that someone was rushing over. "Buddy, be prepared to fight any time," he said solemnly. The speed of the incoming person was too fast for them to escape. Robbery. With a loud shout, two pets jumped out of the grass. "It's you, guys. Have you been following me?" He narrowed his eyes upon seeing his old enemies, Jong-san and Lee Sai. However, these two were really unlucky, sending themselves to the door after the cub had already broken through. "We won't make things difficult for you. Give us 500,000 yuan, and we'll let you go." Jong-san laughed arrogantly, proud to have caught their enemy finally. "I'll give you guys a chance to get lost, or else both of you can just regret it." Subai glanced at them pointedly. "Ha ha ha ha. You really think you scare me?" Jong-san laughed loudly. "Call me father now, and I might be a little gentler when I hit you later. Buddy, use Thorn's domain and flower fragrance." Subai glanced at the two and stepped behind the cub. The ground instantly shook, and dense thorns and vines immediately covered an area of 10-meter radius. Small white flowers bloomed, and the flower fragrance diffused further. "Quickly get away, this floral scent has a hypnotic effect," Jong-san yelled. His pet, snake lizard, burned with black poisonous fire so that the hypnotic effect could not get close. Lee Sai's flower pool devil summoned mud to protect itself. "Let's rush forward and kill his pet. Don't give it a chance to play tricks on us," Jong-san yelled. He knew the general ability of their opponent's disgusting pet and would never give it a chance.